All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's session of Banks Wants You to Know, your latest source for financial discipline and literacy. So we're approaching a special time for most people in the country and even in the world. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, so I have to ask, who do you all have winning today? And what bets do you all have on the game? Actually, I'm totally just joking on the betting part. And then later this week comes Valentine's Day. So to some, Valentine's Day is a special day for both parties, the giver and the receiver. Just like Christmas, there's a high level of anticipation to see what that special person, that crush, that significant other, or your spouse will get you. For those who have giving as a kind of like a gift or acts of service as a love language, the excitement and the anticipation could be just as high because it's something that they really love to do. For others, they may see this holiday as one that's, just kind of played out, especially for those who maybe have been in a long-term relationship or a long-term marriage. Then there are others who may not even let this affect them at all because they believe this day is just kind of made up and it's really insignificant. And those may be the same ones who may even wish today was a holiday so that we all can have a day off of work tomorrow just from watching the game tonight. You can actually count me in that number wishing for us, an official Super Bowl holiday one day. But either way, there's a lot of influence from Valentine's Day. You see it in the stores with aisles laced with all types of flowers, chocolates, gifts, just staring at you, waiting for you to pick them up and buy them. Even on TV through their advertising deals and shows with their special episodes. However you choose to celebrate this holiday, we should all ask ourselves this one question. Am I prepared to spend what I want and need to make this day as special as possible? According to how you answer is really how you should prepare. So my goal today will not be to persuade you not to celebrate this holiday or spend money if you initially plan to, but it's just to basically spend within reason. Now, there was a time way back in high school when I had underwhelmed instead of overwhelmed in the gift-giving department. So in other words, I went the cheap route for someone and gifted them maybe 1-2 cheap things when that same lady, she had put a little bit more thought into her gift. Needless to say, it was pretty embarrassing for me since true feelings are really involved on this day. So I had to learn to kind of step my game up, not only prepare for, to spend for better gifts, but to spend reasonably and prepare ahead of time. So with that being said, let's talk about trying to love bomb the right way instead of that bomb coming to blow up your finances. All right, so the first tip that I have for you all today is to compare what you want to buy and the plans that you have with the money that you have available on hand. Of course, this is going to take some communication between yourself and your significant other, while also being an active listener. And then for those who may still be single or kind of fresh into a relationship, it may not take as much needed communication, especially if you like to, surprise people with love bombing. But listening to that person's wants and needs and situations does help. So comparing is simply taking the money that you'll have left over after your bills and other obligations are taken care of, and then taking the actual or estimated cost of your plans. So let's say your plans are, all right, a dinner, a movie, and buying 2 gifts. But your money may be a little short for one of those things. Now you can either rearrange some things, you can remove a gift, or look around to kind of shop for cheaper options that will make the plan work. Using this comparison tool shows the ability to plan ahead and saves you from overspending. Now, an example of that, all right, like I was talking about earlier, let's say you have plans for a dinner, a movie, and you're gonna buy 2 gifts for your significant other. On a salary of, let's say you got paid $2,000 on February 1st. don't get paid again until the end of this week. By then, I mean February 14th, of course, is Valentine's Day. By then, you may have all your plans together. And with all the bills and obligations, things like that, you're left with, let's say you're left with $250. Say the dinner costs and you're paying for two, so anticipate your meal plus the other person's meal. Once again, you're here paying for two. Let's say that came out to 25. And you found two nice gifts. One of them cost $75. All right, so there, how you have it so far, your plans are coming up to $270. So where's the other 20 gonna come from? If you have no other way, then that means you're short $20. Switch to the red because now, like as a famous TikToker would say, budget is in danger. So one idea that you could have is, all right, maybe switching up the dinner plans and finding something that may come out to be a little cheaper. That will get you at $100. You could do that. Or another option could be, no, I really like that. I really like that spot. Maybe we'll skip the movies and do something at home altogether, or something else out and about. So the options, there's definitely a lot of options you can consider to make this thing work as long as you have a plan and just don't go into it left short. All right. So for my next tip, sometimes you may feel like making this day really extra special for that special person. It may take a little more or a lot more than what you have in your available funds in your account. In this case, you may resort to pulling a little extra out of your savings account or even using a credit card. I'm not here to say don't do it. As I've explained before, I'm here to tell you all to enjoy life with the money and resources you have. I would just like to recommend having a plan to pay yourself back if that decision is made. So whether the funds come from a savings account or a credit card, I would just suggest, coming up with a plan to replace that money and just make it reasonable for your budget. So an example is, let's say you use $200 extra to spend on a holiday. Maybe I can pay it back within the next 2 paychecks or within the next 2 months. Now with credit cards, however, there is interest charged per purchase, so there may be a little more than that $200. In that case, maybe you can do like half and half. Whatever your plan is, at least have one set in stone. If not, bad habits will start to form, resulting in drained savings or a maxed out credit card. All right, so let's say you did use a credit card for that date, or just for that special someone, and you spent the $200 that we mentioned. And then let's say the credit card has a 25% interest rate, and 25% of 200 would be $50. add those two together, 250. Now, as I explained earlier, you could split it up into 2 payments. If you took the money straight from your savings, then you pay the student back with simple 100 one paycheck, another 100 the other paycheck. Here, half of 250 is 125, so it's a $25 extra that you could do, that you could split in, whether it's you do this 1 month, do this the next month, or you do this one paycheck, the next paycheck. As long as it gets paid back and then it gets cleared out. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do a video, more of an extended video about my method on credit. My last tip, this may not actually work right now, unfortunately, unless this is already being done, or if you get paid weekly, you just got paid and you're able to do it this week. And that tip is either saving or budgeting for the holiday in advance. Of course, we cannot predict the future, but we can be prepared for it as best as possible. One way I like to be prepared for the future is saving for things and events that are coming up. In a previous video, I mentioned doing this with Christmas spending. You can even do this on a smaller scale with Valentine's Day. It honestly may take just a month or two combining your most current paycheck to make the purchase, combining it with your most current paycheck to make the purchases you would like to make. Then that can also help with not having to spend all the money that you've got from your most recent paycheck, just all at once, just kind of cleaning it out, and then you're left to wait until the next payday to have some money back in your pocket. If this tip just doesn't work for you this time around, then that's fine. Hopefully these other two will be beneficial for you, and then this third one will be something you can start with next year to get a good handle on things. All right, so as I briefly stated earlier, this just doesn't have to solely apply to Valentine's Day. It can apply to other special days like people's birthdays, or setting up for community events, family reunions, things like that. I may even make another video in the future just talking about planning financially for one of these other things. Then again, I may eventually wind up saying kind of the same thing, since these tips really are flexible for whatever event that you have. So the main things I really wanted to get across to you all today is to plan your purchases and to shop and spend according to your wage, which reminds me of the famous saying, act your wage. Now to close out, let's look at the verse of the day, which is 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7, which reads, "Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." I just feel like that's right on time for the event of this week. Now, after thinking on that verse and kind of reading the context before and after the verse in chapter 9, I thought about how most of us sometimes are under some kind of pressure to give money, time, resources, and energy to our friends or family or cause, depending on certain situations that may be going on in our lives. Sometimes we grow weary of these circumstances, and it causes us to give begrudgingly or to give without joy in our hearts. It could also lead to, giving under obligation, manipulation, or real pressure or duress, which is called coercion. A positive about a holiday such as Valentine's Day, it shows one's heart and desires to show love to God's people, and it's openly displayed, especially in this day and age of social media. Love is a verb, and God's unfailing love and perfect love allows us to give as He gives to us. When it comes to our finances, it's totally encouraged to give as long as we can give out of our own capacity. A saying I hear a lot now is, you cannot give from an empty cup. Now, this also applies to the heart and to your bank account. I want to thank you all for taking the time to check out this week's session of Banks Wants You to Know, where financial discipline equals financial success. Now, please like, subscribe, follow, or share if I've said something today that you will consider useful in your financial journey in the future. Tune in next time to hear something I want you to know. Thank you, and class is dismissed.